Hi, and welcome to our audiobook series brought to you by Burgapoly Publishing. Let the journey begin. Today we are presenting
Chapter 9, Trapped and Hunted. She inhaled sharply. Her voice trembled when she spoke. I think we have bigger problems. She didn't need to say more. They followed her gaze. The gate, the jungle beyond, and the thing that had just walked through it. A shape framed in the morning haze. It stood on two massive legs, its long tail sweeping behind it, balancing its weight with unnatural ease. Its head, large, elongated, tilted slightly, its slit pupil eyes scanning the remnants of the camp. Then it growled, a deep guttural rumble vibrating through the ground. Its teeth glistened as its jaws parted. Tom took an instinctive step backward. Is that a dinosaur? Dave's voice was grim. Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you. The beast crouched lower, muscles tensing beneath its mottled hide. A predator's gaze locked onto prey. Tom tried to stifle a sneeze but failed. The sound was slight, insignificant, but to the creature, it was a signal, a snap of its head. Eyes narrowing. It took a step forward, then another. Each movement precise, measured, stalking. Its growl shifted lower, rolling into a purring click, click, click. A hunter's anticipation. She turned, her breath shallow. What do we do? Run! The command came in unison, sharp and absolute. John didn't hesitate. This way! They ran. Their feet pounded the dirt, the wind rushing past them, their chests burning from exertion. Behind them, a roar. Then, thunder, not from the sky, but from the ground. The force of the beast's steps, heavy and relentless. The snorting and pounding steps grew louder. Gaining on them, John's mind raced, searching, calculating, a way out, a place too small for it to follow. The back of the building. Go! They veered sharply, sprinting between the camp's fence and the rear of the wooden structures. Too narrow for the beast. The creature screeched in frustration. It tried to follow, its head lunging sideways, but the angle was wrong. It snarled, backing up, muscles rippling with impatience. Then it did something worse. It's going around, John yelled. It's trying to cut us off. They ran harder. The burning building loomed ahead, its charred walls radiating heat. Chi's voice broke. We can't go any farther. John turned, eyes darting for options. The beast had disappeared around the other side. Gone, but not gone. It was waiting, watching, calculating, and it was hungry. Tom exhaled, voice small. We're trapped. John's hands clenched into fists. Wait here, he muttered, stepping forward. Chi's eyes widened. John, what are you? But he was already moving, running between the buildings. What's he doing? Tom asked, watching John vanish around the corner of the building. Then, almost as an afterthought, he turned to the others. Oh, by the way, I'm Tom. A boy beside him extended his hand, his grip firm but laced with nervous energy. Scott. Beside him, a girl followed suit, her expression tense but steady. I'm Valerie, Scott's girlfriend. Tom shook both their hands. Nice to meet you. Wish it were under better circumstances. He glanced toward the edge of the building, where John had disappeared. Now, what exactly is he up to? Oh, in case anyone was wondering who I am, Chi interjected, waving a hand with mock impatience. I'm Chi. Scott and Valerie both nodded. Hi, Chi. Dave motioned toward the others in the vehicle. That's Amaryllis, Victor, and Rupert. I'm Dave. They exchanged quick introductions, trading names with the unspoken understanding that survival mattered far more than familiarity. John darted from behind the building, sprinting toward the corpse sprawled in the dirt. He skidded to a stop, scooping up the weapon lying beside the fallen man. His hands moved fast, securing the grip, ensuring the gun was intact. Then, just as quickly, he turned and bolted back toward the group. He came to a halt, breathing heavily, lifting the weapon for them to see. I think we might need this. Tom nodded approvingly. Good thinking. But Scott's face paled, his finger rising to point behind John. Our friend is back. The compound shook as the beast announced its return with a deafening roar. John barely had time to turn before the dinosaur lumbered toward them, its massive head lowering, its hunger sharpening. "Shoot it!" John raised the weapon, his fingers curled around the trigger. He squeezed. Nothing. Panic laced his voice. "It's not firing!" Tom snatched it from him, leveled it at the beast, pulled the trigger, still nothing. "Piece of junk," he spat, then did the only logical thing left. He threw the weapon at the dinosaur's head. It harmlessly flew past its snout. The creature barely reacted, save for a brief flick of its eyes. Then it lunged. They ran. Behind the buildings again, between the narrow gaps where the monster couldn't follow. It tried. Its enormous jaws pushed into the alley, its nostrils flaring, its breath hot against the dirt. But the space was too tight. It could not reach. A long, tense moment stretched between predator and prey. The dinosaur exhaled, snorting in frustration. Then it backed away, retreating toward the open compound, but not before turning its gaze toward the body on the ground. A moment of stillness. The beast bent down, jaws parting. The body lifted into the air with a sickening ease. Then, a single, powerful crunch. 2 more bites, a swallow, and it was gone. Tom's breath hitched. Did it just... "Yeah," John whispered. She clutched her arms, her stomach turning. "We need to move." John nodded, but he hesitated. "I don't see it now, but I know it's still in the compound." He crouched low, glancing back toward the alley's end. "I'm going to take a look." He slipped out, moving fast, pressing his back against the side of the building. Tom and Dave followed. John reached the corner first, peering out carefully. Tom leaned over his shoulder. "See anything?" John's eyes locked onto a distant shadow. "It's over by the far corner, looking around." Tom exhaled. "Maybe we can make a run for the front gate." Dave stiffened beside them. "Or maybe not." His voice was strained. His hand pointed. John followed his gaze. Through the shattered front gate, another shape emerged. Brown, massive, moving with the same deadly grace. A second dinosaur. John's heart sank. "Come on," he said. "We can't stay here." They turned, rushing back toward the others. Chi met them with anxious eyes. "What did you see?" Tom answered, his voice grim. "There's 2 of them now." Chi's breath hitched. "What do we do?" Valerie's voice broke through their panic. "That building over there, it's the kitchen. There's a back entrance." John latched onto the idea instantly. "If we can get inside, we can barricade ourselves." They ran. Tom reached the door first, yanking at the handle. It rattled, unmoving. "It's locked." He stepped back, set his stance, and drove his foot into the door. Nothing. Another kick. The door gave, slamming open against the wall. John smirked, stepping past him. "You're another William." Tom blinked. It would have taken William 3 tries. John didn't respond, because the moment they stepped inside, the outside world howled, and the hunt was still far from over. "You're welcome, by the way," Tom muttered, brushing dust off his hands. His eyes flickered across the space. "Hey, looks like this is the kitchen." "Told you," Valerie said, her voice holding the slightest edge of satisfaction. The kitchen was rough, almost haphazard in its construction. Cupboards and countertops were cobbled together from scrap wood, their uneven edges giving the room a ramshackle, unfinished look. The floor creaked underfoot, its planks worn thin from years of use. And then, the smell. A thick, clinging scent of old grease, of food cooked too many times in the same oil, of time itself settling into the very bones of the place. John pulled open the refrigerator, peering inside. "The power's off," he noted, brushing frost from a shelf, "but it's still cold." He straightened, rubbing his chin. "Not the worst news, considering we haven't eaten since yesterday morning." Scott flicked the light switch. Nothing. He tried again. Still nothing. He frowned. "Yeah, no power here either. Those things must have shot up the supply." Then, a noise. All at once, the room stilled. A distant shuffle, a scrape against the wood. John stepped toward a doorway leading to the front of the building. His voice was quiet, steady. "I'm going to check what's in the next room. Maybe get a look at what those things are doing." Tom barely acknowledged him, his stomach overriding his survival instincts. What else do they have here that doesn't require cooking? Dave, already thinking ahead, turned to Amaryllis, Victor, and Rupert. How about we check next door? See if there's anything useful. Scott hesitated. Are you sure that's a good idea? Considering, the dinosaurs? Victor gave him a dry look. We don't plan on being anyone's dinner. Yeah, we'll be careful, Dave assured him. We're just seeing what we can scavenge. We'll be back soon so we can eat. Tom grinned. By then, we should have a good idea of what's on the menu. Dave and the others slipped out the back door, leaving the rest behind to search the kitchen. Chi, Scott, and Valerie focused on the cupboards, sifting through what little remained. Tom, meanwhile, was already halfway inside the refrigerator, rummaging. He emerged chewing. He stopped mid-bite. The others weren't looking at him. They were staring. Their bodies were rigid. Their eyes were wide. Tom swallowed hard, his mouth suddenly dry. What's wrong? He turned and froze. A man stood in the kitchen. A gun was pressed against the side of John's head. The stranger's face was lined with dirt and sweat, his expression unreadable. His grip on the weapon was steady, practiced, familiar. All right, the man drawled, pushing John forward a step. No sudden moves. John's jaw was tight, his eyes flicking to the side, searching for an opening. There was none. The man's lips curled into something like a smile, but colder. We had a little turn of events. That don't mean you can just go where you please. Tom swallowed. I know you. The man flicked his gaze toward him, unimpressed. That's so? You're the one who pulled us out of the truck. A slow, mocking nod. Wonderful memory. Without warning, he shoved John toward the others. Now, he said, voice sharpening. You're all going to move. Nice and slow into that room over there. The gun made it clear there was no room for argument, so they obeyed. Each step felt heavier than the last as they crossed into the adjacent room. The moment the last of them was inside, the door slammed shut. The lock clicked, and then there was silence and darkness. Tom exhaled sharply, his voice low. Great, now what? John ran his hands along the door. Let's get some light in here. Tom scoffed. The power's out, remember? Yeah, John muttered, his fingers searching. I remember. Then a grunt. John climbed up onto a stack of boxes, reaching for something near the ceiling. He tugged at something, and some fabric that was covering a window came loose. Light. Weak and muddied by the grime-streaked glass, but light. The room took shape before them. Chi glanced around, taking stock of their surroundings. Looks like some kind of storage room. John dropped back to the ground, dusting himself off. Storage for what, though? Valerie pried the top off a box, peering inside. It looks like food. I found some crackers, Chi announced, lifting a small box triumphantly into the air. John glanced around the room. There's a sink. We might be able to get water from it. Might is the key word, Tom muttered, arms crossed. This far out, they probably have well water, Scott mused. It should be clean. He hesitated. The only problem is that you need a pump for well water. Tom exhaled. And a pump needs electricity, so unless someone wants to try chewing on metal pipes, we don't have any water. John gestured toward the stacks of supplies. Let's check the other boxes. Maybe they have something else to drink. Chi rummaged through another crate and pulled out a heavy jug of liquid. She cracked the lid, took a cautious sniff, and winced. Oh, great. Vinegar. Tom groaned. Yeah, I'm not drinking that. They continued their search, but after several minutes it was clear. Their luck had run out. Tom exhaled, rubbing his forehead. Well, this sucks. He picked up the vinegar jug, turning it in his hands. I might as well try it. Scott gave him a wary look. You can drink vinegar, but you won't like it. Tom shrugged, tilted the jug, and took a sip. The reaction was immediate. He gagged, spat it out into the sink, and coughed violently. Yuck! He reached out instinctively, turning the faucet to rinse the sink. Water gushed from the tap. Tom jerked backward, pointing in disbelief. Look at this! Chi blinked. The faucet works! Tom whirled on John. I thought you tried it. John raised his hands, expression unreadable. I never did. Scott stared at the flowing water, brows furrowed. This doesn't make sense. If the power's down, the pump shouldn't work. Chi's eyes narrowed. Unless they have a water tower keeping the pressure up. Scott considered. Could be, but for a camp this small, he shook his head. Seems like overkill. John frowned, his mind already retracing his steps. Now that you mention it, I think I saw one at the far end of the compound while I was looking for our friendly dinosaur.
Thanks for listening to Chapter 9 of Into the 6th Millennium, The Invasion of Zephro. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss future audiobooks. You'll find links below to get the book, explore more titles from the series, and grab official merch. We've also included some affiliate links to the tools we use to bring this project to life.